Welcome to this fourth video about Dungbeetle. In this video we will talk about customizing Dungbeetle, customizing the source code, the Boo part or the C# part. But first I want to talk about what Dungbeetle is and how it compares to other bug trackers. So compared to Jira or Mantis or other web-based bug trackers, Dungbeetle is a simpler alternative. I have gotten requests to integrate it with Dungbeetle, but it doesn't make any sense because it's a different bug tracker. You don't want to synchronize bug reports between different bug trackers. So yeah, if you want a simpler bug tracker, just go for Dungbeetle and forget about the others. But if you want to copy their features, yeah, you can customize. For using your bug tracker with Unity, that's when Dungbeetle is much better. It has better integration with the builds, where it's already integrated how to report to the server, and it's better integrated with the developers who use Unity and can open and see all the bugs inside Unity and even report bugs directly from within Unity. So it will always just be there with your project, and that's where I think it's supposed to be there. Additionally, it has very few and simple requirements for the host machine. It requires a .NET runtime for the server, and if you want to use MySQL as a storage backend, of course you require a MySQL database. But other than that, it's just no requirements. It requires SQLite if you use SQLite, and if you're on Windows, the library is included. If you're on Mac or Linux, you need to find SQLite from your distro. But it's a very common thing to do, and you'll manage to do that. Yeah, and the tables. In Dungbeetle there are only 4 tables. It's one for the project, one for the developers, one for the attachments, and one for the bug reports. So it's very graspable, very easy to look through and to handle manually if you have to. Usually you don't have to. Alright, so let's take a look at the source code. So let's talk about what's different between the Boo part and the C# part of Dungbeetle. So the main part of Dungbeetle is created in Boo, and but you don't have to worry about it not being C# because it's compiled during the plugins compilation phase. And you can even, if you just create your own DLL version of Dungbeetle, you don't have to have it anywhere. Then it's just pre-compiled. You don't have to worry about that either. But for the part that you integrate into your game, we have created 2 examples in C# on how to use Dungbeetle. One very simple example. It looks like this, and it's actually just one function call. What this function call does is it brings up the bug reporting window. It will include the scene name here, scene name, but you can change that, the build name, and a delegate for handling when the bug has been reported and the receiving the message from the server, and a list of attachments. That's all there is to it. But that's a little bit too little for my taste. If all you want to do is just start up with Dungbeetle and just have it working, maybe you want a more fleshed out example. So I've created that too. And that's like the other half of the C# part. Bug report form example manager. It's a mono behavior, so you can just create a game object and put it there, and it will handle a lot of details. So let's just take a look at that. So I've created an interface for the instance that handles this example, and a mono behavior that instantiates it and which gives it a chance to update, and if it's ready, that will mean that the user has pressed send. It will do the function call that we looked at earlier with CName, with build name, and a delegate, and the attachments. So I just implemented that in a class and extracted an interface. So the details, so the attachments are added here, so it finds a log file string, and for doing that, let's just search for that. Set log file string. Yeah, so it uses a function that's included with Dungbeetle, log reader, which reads the log file from whatever build is running. And I think that's good because you almost always want that if something has gone wrong, and for that reason you get a bug report, you want to look at the log file. Make sure that your builds do write this log file. So you have to go in the player settings in here or through here, player, and look for use player log. Make sure it's checked, and then your builds will create logs like the editor does, just for puts it in a file. And the log reader class will fetch that log when it creates the list of attachments. Yep, and get build name. So build name, to create the build name here, I've used the iSerialization callback receiver interface. So Unity helps me here because I get this function called on before serialize. So when this mono behavior is serialized, that is when I create the build, I get this function call, and that's when I store the date and store it in the build name. I think it's a very convenient way of naming builds. So it's just automatically build names with the current date of the build, not of the bug report. Yep, and get CName, very easy these days. Unity Engine, scene management, scene manager, get active scene. And then you have the name. I think it's a very good default. Launch, the function that says that this instance of the bug report form example is ready to be sent, and it will be whenever the log file has been read. That's the way I've created this. Yeah, and on GUI, so this is the function call that creates the hint in the top left corner. I can just show you that quickly. So I have the form here, bug report form example manager, and it says F7 to report bug. It's a hint to the player that they can press F7 to open the bug report form. It's done here. This is not a real GUI function. The real one is here, but it's calling this examples on GUI function. So it's parallel. Yeah, so you might want to change everything in here, but this interface will show you the way on how to create a good call to bugreporter.launch. But yeah, you don't have to. I think this example is very good default. You can just use it right out of the box. All right. So maybe you want to go deeper. Maybe you want to change the server. Maybe you want to add different kinds of calls, maybe a new table, maybe whatever. And I want to cover the big main structure of the server. So for that, you have to look in server.boo. So let's take a look at that. So yeah, it has a lot of stuff in here, and what you need to care about is protocol keyword. So protocol keyword means that the name of the function, or it can have an alias, will be a keyword. So if a client sends the attachments keyword, then this function will handle the requests that follow. So what the client does in this example is it sends the word attachments, then it sends an int for marking a project, then it sends another int for a given attachment, and the server will then respond with strings. So this network.write is sending a list of strings back to the client. Yeah, so that should be a good point to start out if you want to change the server. Yeah, I can describe a little bit more. So this is the main function for the server, run, and for each request it does the handshake for encryption, or it fetches a cookie and then uses old encryption details before it moves on to with the decrypted requests. It uses a dictionary to find the right protocol keyword function to handle the requests. So with that, you should be able to get started. All right. So let's say you want to make changes to the editor interface. That's a quite different part of the source code, but let's look at it. So that will be in the overview folder here, the overview GUI. This is the most important part of the editor client. So the overview GUI represents this window, and other windows like it is the details GUI and the attachments GUI. So this window and this window. And that's almost all of it. Yeah, there's also screenshot GUI. This one, quite simple one. And one important detail here is that the detail window, well, during a reload in Unity, data gets lost unless it's serialized properly. So this window would lose all the data that it got from the server, and this window as well. But I've kind of solved that by putting it all in a scriptable object so that Unity serializes it before the reload. So I can recompile Dungbeetle here now, but the data will still be here when we have reloaded. and that's a huge convenience when using Dungbeetle. And another thing to mention is that there is a connection here. So this bug overview GUI stores the bug list and with it almost all of the data except screenshots. So when I open the details window, it doesn't request a bug detail thing from the server. It just requests the missing screenshot, and the rest is just fetched from the overview window. And as I assign bugs to other developers, oh, I don't have anyone yet. Let me just create a developer here. So myself, I guess. So now we have developers. Yay. So when I assign a bug that is open in a detail window, it will be reflected. So let's do that. And you can already see that the buttons changed to reflect the state of this bug, and the fields were filled in automatically. And that's because the details window knows about the bug overview window, and during reload it loses the connection, but it gets it back by like searching for instances of bug overview GUI. Yeah, but we can look on the source code here as well. There's a lot of source code, but if you want to change something, it shouldn't be very hard. So I don't have time to explain everything, but one important one that has often been changed here is the bug GUI tabs. So the bug GUI tabs array, it describes what's needed for each tab to be drawn, because the same code draws each of those tabs. It's just the array here describes how it should represent each bug differently and how it should fetch them differently from the server. So like say I want to add the delete button here in the assign bugs, I can actually do that by adding another line. Like that. Let's put it on in the end instead. Oops. Something like that. Yep. And now, as you can see, we have a delete button in a different window. So that was easy. Yeah. Of course, I'm like glossing over a lot of details here, but I guess I just want to show that it's very well written. Yeah. So maybe you want to add a new field. So in that case, maybe you want to just add another field in the details GUI. This is the details GUI source file. And let's see if there's an on GUI call here. Yeah. And it's just GUI layout and then GUI label, whatever, here to show the data. And then you might also want to add stuff to the server tables. So if you want to do that, I want to mention one more thing. It's a function, sorry, it's a class called Dungbeetle DBBase. And this class is very important because it contains all the database communication. Yeah, let's open that one. It contains all the SQL queries, but in a way that compatible with both. This is the wrong file. Yeah, that was the wrong file. This one. Yeah. It contains all the SQL queries in a way that's compatible with both SQLite and MySQL. And for the details that it doesn't have, it has defined an abstract function, an abstract class that each of the databases has been like adapted to say like how does MySQL describe like say the type of long texts. For SQLite it would be something like this, but in MySQL it's just slightly different. It's like medium text, which is what MySQL uses to describe strings that are a maximum of 16 megabytes or something like that. Yeah, so you would have to create some functions here with queries to handle your new table, and then some new keyword for the server, and then you will basically have changed Dungbeetle and made it have more rich bug types. But there's an easier way too, a much easier way in fact. The attachments. So the attachments that you send through one function call, they're listed in an array that is, well, this array is returned easily from the server, and you can go through those and put your special data in there. And that's a very easy way to build on Dungbeetle without having to worry about server commands or additional table fields or table columns or whatever. And I'm planning to make the attachments very available in the future, but at the moment it's already quite convenient. So you can use that as like a small hack if you want to customize through here. So far the attachments is also they're only shown in the attachments window like this. And for log files this is perfect, it's all you need. But maybe you want like a full save file or something that you want to handle programmatically within Unity, then you can do that. You just have to handle the string, serialize something big and then deserialize it in the editor. You absolutely can do that, and it shouldn't be hard. Yeah, so happy customizing. Good luck.